Hello, you're listening to Outside the Bubble. I'm your host, Joanna Bull, and today's guest is Dr. Samantha Fecich. Sam is a professor, author, speaker, and podcaster. And today we're going to have a conversation about preparing pre-service teachers to own their college career, how they can take advantage of learning opportunities in college so they can hit the ground running. However, even if you're not a pre-service teacher, we're going to talk about social media and go over some tips and tricks relevant to pre-service teachers, new teachers, and old teachers. So stay around for my interview with Sam. Now, I want to let everybody know that there's a little bit of an audio glitch a couple of times. It's kind of like staticky, a little bit fuzzy, not sure what happened. And at one point, there's also a baby crying. But as Sam and I talk about in the interview, when things happen, especially with tech, you just keep going. So we're going to get this party started. Here's my interview with Sam. Samantha, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Tell me a little bit about you, who you are, and what it is that you do.
Absolutely. My name's Sam Fecich, and I'm a professor at a small liberal arts school in near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I teach pre-service teachers about educational technology and special education. And it's so cool to see how those two fields, while they're separate, really mesh well together when it comes to student teaching. And I also have the honor of observing and supervising our student teachers in the special education field. It's so much fun to see them grow from freshman to senior and just have them just rock their student teaching career and see all that they've learned through pedagogy and methodology and really apply it in the classroom. I also wrote a book called EduMagic, a guide for pre-service teachers, and that launched last August, and it has been such a wonderful ride. Meeting and learning with others on social media and connecting with people on podcasts and things like that. So it's been amazing first year and ride with that.
Awesome. Now, before we go any further, is your preference to be called Sam or Samantha?
Oh, totally Sam.
Okay, perfect. And how long have you been doing this pre-service piece?
Sure. So I'm going into my 6th year of working with pre-service teachers. Prior to that, I was a special ed teacher for 4 years, and that was an amazing experience working with individuals with disabilities from K to age 21, sorry about that. And it was just so neat to see their independence and confidence grow when it came to using technology, because it truly helped unlock doors and open windows for our friends with special needs and help them become as independent as possible. So that was a great journey that led me to where I am today, teaching and helping our future educators learn what it's like to see the able behind the label and really have technology be used in a meaningful, impactful way for all students, because it is a best practice, and how it can be used to differentiate instruction to level that playing field for our students with disabilities.
Yeah, definitely. Are you still surprised by how many teachers are not using technology in their classrooms?
Honestly, yes. It is very surprising and very sad, because I think a lot of our students can really thrive when using technology in an authentic way, in a meaningful way, not just as like something shiny. Oh, it's shiny, I have to use that now. Instead, thinking through, how is this going to help my students? How is this going to help them maybe engage in my lesson? How is it going to help their learning? So thinking about how it's going to benefit the students and how you can really reach them using the technology and how you can leverage it as a tool.
I'm asking because I'm very amazed with how many teachers I find, especially in the work I do. My job is I'm a consultant. The closest that you can consider it would be like an ed tech coach in the States. And I'm amazed at how many teachers are still not really using technology in their classrooms. I mean, there's like some, essay typing going on and using of Google tools, but a lot of it is still for housing of content and not necessarily content creation.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Some teachers, they don't really see the benefits, and maybe they're a little nervous to jump into the technology pool. But I think starting out small, so maybe taking those typed essays and maybe do some collaboration or peer editing using whatever tool you'd like to use for that. And then maybe like just upping it a little bit and taking baby steps to get towards a goal of using technology, maybe for one lesson or 1 week, or, trying to integrate it once a month, really being intentional about that. I think some teachers can get nervous because, when you say, okay, we're going to use technology in this lesson, it can be a little nerve-wracking if you're not familiar with the tools, but taking baby steps to get there. And I think that's where our pre-service teachers can really speak into that, because they were born with, technology all around them. And for the most part, I think they know how to use it, but how to use it effectively. They can help train the in-service teachers, and the in-service teacher can help train that pre-service teacher with the methodology and the pedagogy. And I think having that blend of, I'm going to say, expertise in the classroom can really be beneficial for the students and their learning.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very gentle with your approach too. I'm at the point now in my career where I'm like, what are you doing over there? Like, get in the deep end. It's great over here. Just jump in. You'll be fine. And if you're not, you'll float. And when it comes to tech, like, yes. I'm not even really gentle about it anymore. I'm like, people, like, the internet's been around for a really long time now. Computers have been around. Like, there's no excuses anymore. Mm-hmm. However, as I get on my soapbox. But I know that you have an interest in pre-service, obviously, from the work that you do. Yeah. The book, your title.
No.
But also you have an interest just in the social media aspect. And I know our conversation is going to be around social media and pre-service teachers, but what we're going to talk about today really applies to anyone that is still not getting with the social media, because there's also teachers that are like, I don't have social media. I'm like, what do you mean you don't?
You need it.
Like, what do you mean you don't have social media?
I had a pre-service teacher this semester tell me he did not have any social media. I was like, are you kidding me? And he goes, no, this is my first Twitter account, my first Instagram account. And I was like, well, welcome to the party. Let me tell you all about, Twitter or Instagram, whatever we were talking about that day. And he really blossomed towards the end of the semester, using the social media to connect with other educators. So that was really cool, to go from literally 0 to 60 or 360, whatever you want to call, or 180, I don't know, whatever math terms here, throw in a perfect math term here. Really going from 0 to having something that
went far.
Yes, far in things. That he could use to connect with other educators. Hopefully you'll edit that and make that sound so much better than what I just said.
No, I'm going to actually leave it all in because I'm loving it and it's all funny.
I really appreciate that.
So why do pre-service teachers, and, I'm going to ask questions about all teachers, but why do they need social media?
It is that digital handshake. Every semester, before I even talk about social media, I have an administrator from our local school district that's literally right across the street from us bebop on over to the college and share with my, it's a freshman class of pre-service teachers, and share why they need to have a digital presence. And one of the first things that we talk about is that it's that digital handshake. He's like, I'm going to be honest, guys, when I search you, whenever, you hand in your resume, you fill out that information online, I go right to Google and I Google your name. I Google your first and last name, and then I Google your first, middle, and last name. I want to try to find something about you that's professional and positive. And then we talk about what's the last thing you posted on any social media account? What's the last thing you liked or commented on? Because not just posts, but those things that you like and comment and favorite or retweet or whatever phrase you want to use there, that represents you as well. Did you actually go to the website that you're commenting about, or did you actually go to that site before you shared out on Facebook, whatever that video was or whatever the website was talking about, to make sure it's credible? And by the end of that talk, they have a list of ideas of things that they can start implementing into their digital presence, and things that they should probably think about cleaning up. So after that class, their assignment is to Google themselves. And it sounds so weird when you say it out loud, Google yourself. It's like, okay, Sam, whatever. And I have them really look through the web, look through their video, look through everything that comes up about their name, first and last name, and then first, middle, and last name, to see what's out there about them. Because if they're not owning their digital presence, then someone else is, and that's really scary. We don't want that. So I actually had a pre-service teacher, I think about 3 years ago now, have a video up on YouTube from whenever she was in high school. I think she was like a sophomore in high school at the time. She goes, you know what, it's not really, it's not a horrible video, but it's not like the best video, and my first and last name are on the title. And she's like, I had to contact the student who made it. It's for a group project that they did, and have him take it down because I don't want that to come up. And I said that was really responsible of you to do that. And the student who she worked with, a former classmate, did take it down, which was great. And by the time she graduated, she had so much positive stuff out there about herself that I don't think the video would have came out, because she has been to several conferences presenting and attending conferences. She's really updated and been highlighting all the different things she's been doing during her college career on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, because whenever we do our Google search, social media is what comes up first. So I always tell my students, keep the positive professional stuff public. If you think someone needs to know about it, it's positive professional, tweet that out, share it out far and wide, loud and proud, and then keep the public stuff private. We can lock down our accounts, but still, people can get in, see stuff. So you want to make sure that you keep that positive professional presence public and the personal stuff private. Keep it locked down as much as you can, and try not to follow your professional account with your personal account, because that's just, you can easily see that then as an employer if you're looking through followers and stuff like that. So I think it's so important that they have that professional positive presence. I really went off track there. But that professional positive presence first thing as soon as they start their college career, and continue that throughout their college career, so they're spreading little breadcrumbs of awesomeness throughout the internet. And then the administrator, like the one that we had join us, can then, whenever they graduate, they can find amazing things that they're doing during their college career. They're not just attending classes getting 4.0s, but they are also doing volunteer work. They're participating in different organizations, and they're really showing what they know through their digital presence.
So you are actually finding that administrators are Googling?
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. I even overheard a conversation of an administrator at a conference talk to a senior education major from a different college. And she said, let me see your social media. What's the last thing you just posted about? And he was able to pull up his professional Twitter account and show exactly, it was an Edutopia article, it was this podcast, it was this, it was that. And you're able to really show an administrator or show a district that you're serious about your professionalism and you're serious about your professional learning by retweeting and sharing and commenting and adding your own 2 cents on different things around education and around your passion areas. So it's really neat. It's really neat because they could really start to own it early in their college career. And by the time they're seniors, they're just updating and adding. And it's fantastic to really have that breadth of information out there that you're contributing to, and that you are part of a social media network, and that you're truly a connected educator.
And just off of that last piece there, why is it important to be a connected educator?
I think it's a non-negotiable. You need to have that as a professional. You need to have a network that's going to encourage you, challenge you, support you, make you think, and make you really think about what you're doing and why you're teaching. And being a connected educator does all that. No matter what social media platform you use, being connected, you have people that you can go to reach out to ask questions, to respond to questions, to give ideas, to contribute to something bigger than yourself. I think oftentimes as new teachers, as first-year teachers, it's hard to find that connection because you might not have that in that district that you're working with. You might not have someone down the hall to talk to if you're having some problems with the student, or problems with the content, or problems with a pedagogy or a strategy, but you have that on social media. And I think doing that early in your career, starting to build your PLN, building your professional learning network early in your career, can really help you, because you will have that support, you'll have that community when you begin teaching. And I hope that everyone does have someone down the hall that they can reach out to, but some people don't. And I think having that community is critical to really help with burnout, to have that feeling that you're more than being in those 4 walls of your classroom. You have a supportive network behind you.
I definitely agree. But I do think that when you start a professional account, and we'll use Twitter as an example. So I didn't have Twitter for a very long time in my career. I probably only got it maybe, I don't know, 4 years ago, and then wasn't active on it for the first year, and then got the job that I have now and became more active on it. But I didn't really, like, it wasn't doing much for me, right? I had 75 followers. Like, it takes some time to build momentum. So how do you overcome feeling sort of like, I don't know, bad about yourself because you don't have the professional learning network yet on your social media? You don't have those contacts.
Sure. So when it comes to Twitter, I think some teachers feel that no one's going to follow me. I don't have anything to say. I have nothing to share. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I feel everyone in education, from pre-service teacher with 5 days experience to retired educator, 30 plus years, has something to share and something to give and something to receive from that learning network. I tell my students to post consistently good quality content, and the followers will come. Kind of like if you build it, they will come. So if you start building this feed of quality content that people want to see and people want to read and learn about, the followers will come. Also, participating in Twitter chats can really be helpful to build your professional learning network, because you're going right to the source of passionate educators who want to help grow and learn together, and getting into that, immersed into that community is critical. So whether that be attending a Twitter chat on social studies or English or what a subject area or a maker space, there's so many Twitter chats out there with people who are like-minded and some that will think differently. And that's okay, because those are people that are going to challenge you and really make you think deeply about yourself and about your teaching and your strategies. But joining a Twitter chat based on your passion areas, and then even once you have one down, one or two, maybe go into some areas where you want to learn more about, and that'll help grow you as well. And that will also, help to build the momentum when it comes to getting followers and following others and finding quality people to follow.
So how does one go about finding Twitter chats?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there was a Google Calendar out there. Every time I always Google educational Twitter chats. I don't remember the URL, but I always go to educational Twitter chats, and it always pops up a little calendar. And I always have to double check the time zones, because I'm one of those people that mess up the time zones all the time. So going to check out the time zones and seeing what's of interest to me. And I will go and I'll look and see how long the Twitter chat is, what the topic is for the night. Or sometimes if you're just bebopping on Twitter, some people will start posting, hey, Twitter chat starting in 30 minutes, join us, and it will tell us, a little bit about the topic, or maybe even list the questions, which are really helpful, so you can think a little bit through how you want to answer the question instead of just being on the spot. So to find a Twitter chat, I would definitely Google educational Twitter chats, and it'll pop up a little Google Calendar. So finding Twitter chats about a topic that is of interest and a time frame that's going to work best for you. There's some that are super early in the morning and late at night. They're 15 minutes to an hour. Seriously, there's something for everyone out there when it comes to Twitter chats.
Yeah, thanks for that. Even like for my own professional knowledge, I've always, like you said, just been hanging out on Twitter. And what was your phrasing? Bebopped into them?
Bebop, yeah. I use bebop way too much.
So that's how I've always come across them, or, word of mouth from other people. But if you're new to it and you don't have that network yet, it's great to know where you can start.
Absolutely.
And then when it comes to quality content, like what is quality content on Twitter?
So I feel quality content is, if you're a newbie to Twitter, I would go to a quality resource that you really enjoy. I really like Edutopia. EdWeek's another great one. And I would find some articles that are of interest to you. And usually there's like a little share button beside the article. And I would click on that, and I would add my 2 cents to that article. So here I read my article, and I want to add 2 more ideas to it. And I would type those out there, and I would, check out this article by so-and-so from Edutopia with the title. I really enjoyed this part, but I would add these two ideas and fit that into 280 characters, add a few hashtags to it. Bada bing, bada boom, you got some quality content going out there because it's from a reputable site, and you're also not just retweeting, you're adding your own commentary to it, which I think is critical whenever you're starting to build your PLN. You're adding your own voice to the education field, which everyone has and everyone needs to share.
All right. So we're going to a reputable source. We're finding something that resonates with us. We're adding our 2 cents, our perspective, our insight, and then we're adding some hashtags. How do we decide about these hashtags?
Good question. Yeah. So with hashtags, my goal with hashtags is 3, maybe 4 relative hashtags that relate to that article. So maybe if it's about students with special needs, and maybe it's specifically talk about students with autism, I'll do hashtag autism, hashtag special education, and maybe something else. With our education department, we have a hashtag. So I usually add that to probably everything I tweet. So people who are following the hashtag, alumni, current students, faculty, can see what's going on out there. Stuff that I find, I'll just put hashtag GCCEDU and, see what happens, put it out there. And I think it's important to find hashtags that relate to the content. So you're not just putting in hashtag I love bananas or I love ice cream. You're having it relative to the content that you have in the article. And sometimes they might even be referencing a hashtag in that article. If it's about maker spaces, you can find tons of stuff on maker spaces and STEAM out there.
Do you know of any resource beyond just Googling education hashtags that actually has a breadth of hashtags that people could pick from?
Yes. Cybraryman has a whole bunch on his site. He has hashtags separated by, I'm going to say subject areas and possibly grade levels, but I know he has a whole list of tons of hashtags out there. And then I believe it's also him who has a list of people to follow in different subject areas.
Oh, awesome. That'd be a great resource. I've looked before and I haven't come across any that I feel are really robust, but I have not seen this one.
Yeah, I'm searching out. I will send it your way.
Awesome. So what else are you sharing with your pre-service teachers when it comes to social media?
Yeah. So one of the most important things that we talk about when it comes to social media is your bio. And that's what people see first before they even get into your content is your bio, your handle, and your photo. So you want to make sure that your photo is just you, not you and all your friends, not you and your dog, just you. And it doesn't have to be glamour shots. It doesn't have to be prom. It does, but make sure you're not in sweats either. Make it a field ready. That's what we call field ready photo. So maybe do a stage picture in front of a chalkboard or in front of a bookcase or with a cup of coffee. Look at me. I'm a super cool teacher girl. And speaking of super cool teacher girl, don't have that be your handle. No. I try to have my students do their first names or Miss so and so or Mr. so and so. So when they're going on their resume, they can pop it right on there and hey, check me out on Twitter at such and such. And it's also easier to find. I believe if they're Googling your first and last name, that'd be great for it to come up your professional Twitter, Instagram account. And then with your bio, make it relative to you. And, you can make it personal, professional, and fun, I think all rolled into one, but also have it reflect who you are as a teacher. Some of this pre-service teachers, they put in their graduation year, obviously their major, and then if they want, they can put in their location, where they're from. And what's interesting is going back to that class where the administrator comes in, he says on your Twitter account, you may want to put your location where you'd want to teach one day. So if you're from Colorado and you want to go back there, but you're studying in PA, Colorado is where you're from. Or if you want to teach in Montana or wherever it may be, think about where you want your location to be as a teacher. So that was really interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. And then your background photo or your header photo, have it be something creative and not just a whatever the color is, purple or blue or whatever it may be, have it be something creative. And we go into different tools where you can create some really unique banners. Like Canva does a beautiful job. And then pairing Canva with Unsplash, copyright-free images, is really nice. You can really create something dynamic there. Going back to the bio, adding in, some students add in their favorite educational quote, which is really neat because that is a great indicator of what speaks to you and what resonates to you as a teacher. So maybe putting in a little educational quote, but being able to fit that in to the little bio section can be a little difficult if you're adding all these things to it. And then, of course, a big thing is their digital portfolio, popping that in when it's completed. At the end of the course, popping that into their bio as well. So you want everything to be linking back to each other. So your Twitter will link to your portfolio, and your resume that you have out there, maybe it has a QR code that goes right to your portfolio, and then also has a link to your Twitter or your handle or whatever it may be out there. So you have things going to each other. And I think whenever you start sending out those resumes and cover letters, having your social media present on your resume, I think, is really important. So the administrator knows that you are that, right? So whenever they search your handle, you are the Sam Fecich that they're looking for, not somebody else who may have the same name as you. So you're owning that professional presence from the time you hand in your resume, because they know where to find you. They know what handle to look under. And then they have this whole archive of amazing things that you've been doing.
Let's talk for a moment about the digital portfolio.
Sure.
What is a digital portfolio?
So a digital portfolio is where you house all of your awesomeness, all of your educational awesomeness. You pop it right into there. So if you are proud of a project that you did, a lesson that you wrote, a bulletin board that you created, putting it on your website and making it like the showcase of your professional life is your digital portfolio. Having a welcome page that welcomes people to the site. What are they going to see? What are they going to find? What are they going to notice? An About Me page that has a professional and fun photo of you, maybe some personal details about your life. Why do you want to be a teacher? Another really nice thing to have on there is maybe a little get to know you video, like using Animoto or Adobe Spark. You can create beautiful professional videos with just adding in the content, and the design work is all done for you. So popping that into there, giving them like a little taste of your technology skills, a little bit about you, and then having your resume. But I always tell my students, you want to take out on your portfolio your phone number and your address, because there's creepers out there. So try to, protect yourself with that. Any clearances, but don't post the actual clearances. Just put, I have clearances for whatever state or whatever place you're in. You can list them there, but don't actually put copies of the clearances up there because they have personal identifying information. What else is good on a contact page is always really nice to have. And organizing your portfolio in a way that makes sense to you. So here in Pennsylvania, we use the Charlotte Danielson framework for teaching. So we have students organize their portfolio around the 4 domains, which are really obviously relevant to education. One is planning and prep, class, and the next one's classroom environment. The third one's instruction, and the fourth one's professionalism. And putting all the artifacts that you've been doing throughout your coursework, things that you've been learning about, workshops you've been going to, and organizing them under the 4 categories works beautifully because it's easy to navigate and it makes sense. So you can be putting stuff in as early as freshman year and adding to it throughout your whole college career. It's not just for a class, it's for your professional growth. And it really shows, if you're putting stuff in freshman year all the way to senior year, it shows the growth that you've done, your trajectory of teaching and how you've grown over the past 4 years. Maybe you want to put your first lesson plan that you ever wrote next to the last lesson plan you wrote for student teaching and show the growth that happened there. Show reflection and show your professionalism.
So are these portfolios, are they actually websites, or are there other ways that you can create them?
Right. So we create them using websites. There are other ways you can create them that are just tied down to a system, to a specific LMS. But I want my students to have something out there that they own about them, that they can be adding to, that's not just tied to the college. So creating a free Wix or a Weebly or a Google site or whatever you'd want it to be, something that they can own, they can edit, and they can share is so important.
And then is this something that's actually coming out at a job interview? You're actually using it to show what you've done, not just talk about what you've done?
Exactly. That's the secret sauce. So you can create this portfolio and it's lovely and beautiful. And if it just sits online, it's not going to do you too much unless you use it during an interview process and really show what you know. So instead of instead of telling someone, oh, we did this classroom management system with clothespins, pull out that digital portfolio, pop open classroom environment, like, here's the classroom management system we use with clothespins. As you can see, the students, over the course of the 7 weeks, got to understand the responsibilities and expectations using this system. And most of our students, are able to reach level 4, and we all got this class reward or whatever it may be. You can just show the process and show your learning to an employer, to an administrator during that interview.
So we've talked quite a bit about Twitter. Is there a place in the educational environment with a professional learning network for Facebook and Instagram?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. There are so many. I got on Instagram, I think about a year ago. And my professional life on Instagram is beautiful. It's so visual. I love it. I just love scrolling through Instagram and seeing what other teachers are doing in their classrooms, and they're bringing it every day with their students. So whether it be an awesome lesson that somebody taught and they're posting pictures about it, or some motivation or encouragement to start the week or end the week strong. I love following pre-service teachers on Instagram. I feel like that's where a lot of them are hanging out. And it's so cool to see them be excited about a lesson that they're going to teach or asking for advice in their Instagram stories. It's a beautiful community on Instagram. And then Instagram and Facebook, they're tied together. So I feel like if you have Instagram, you have Facebook, and then you also have Twitter too. So there's lots of social media going on. But I think having a foot in different places, and the different pieces of social media have different purposes. I think Instagram is used a lot for visual sharing. It's kind of like Pinterest in a way, but with Instagram, you can really have that long caption. You can engage with your community and reply and comment and like and share. And then with Twitter, I think it's great for sharing out content, for participating in your community through Twitter chats, posting updates to what you're doing and what you're learning about. And then Facebook is kind of the same way as well. I've really gotten into Facebook groups recently and learning from the individuals in there. I think there's a whole bunch of different educators in all those different areas of social media. And I think getting a taste of each one is really, it's a lot of fun, and a lot of learning can happen.
All right. So you definitely see a place for all of them, but are you actively teaching Instagram and Facebook to your pre-service teachers, or are you focusing mainly on Twitter?
I just started putting Instagram into the syllabus this year, and it's been really neat to see the engagement on there versus Twitter. So I give my students a choice, okay, at the end of the week, they have to have 3 posts on their social media account, whether they are all 3 on Twitter, all 3 on Insta, 2 and 1, or 1 and 2, however they want to do it. And a lot of them choose to post on Instagram. They post pictures because it's so much easier to just take a picture, pop a filter on there, and write out what you're doing. I think that's where a lot of them are, and that's where they're comfortable. So pushing them outside their comfort zone using Twitter is important too, because they need to be connecting with those current educators and other pre-service teachers in Twitter chats, and be checking out what's going on, because it's really hard to share a link on Instagram. So going out there and finding content that's going to be relative to them in their career is important. I think finding different outlets for that content is also critical, and that's where each of those 3 pieces go into. So to sum up, I do teach Twitter and Instagram in my course, along with their digital portfolio.
We met through Instagram, and I had made a commitment to someone that I was going to get more into Instagram and start an Instagram for my podcast, which now has 1 post on it weeks later. So I'm not doing super well with that, but I do have an action plan. And part of it is because it's not personal, it's related to this podcast. So I sort of want to start from the beginning, and I've been podcasting for a year, but I have a strategic plan. I noticed very quickly that my podcast Instagram grew exponentially quicker than another Instagram I started at the same time that I've put more work into. And I thought that was interesting. And the amount of people that are connecting with me that are educators and not just companies or organizations that are just following people, I thought was really fascinating. And I have found some educators through Instagram that I'm not connected with on Twitter, but have massive followings.
Why do you think the podcast one did exponentially better than the other one?
I have no idea, to be honest. I think it's because it's I used very specific teacher related hashtags. Like I did some hashtag research and used specific hashtags to podcasting and to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are a lot of teachers on Instagram more than I was expecting as teachers. Now, part of that is my board, so the district that I work in, had blocked Instagram for a very long time, and they just recently opened it up. So for me, I've never really considered like Instagram to be a tool for teachers. That just wasn't where my mindset was. And then when I opened up my podcasts there, and even with one post, and all of a sudden, like I think I'm close to 200 followers with one post, which is bananas.
Wow.
And that one post has a spelling mistake, which is embarrassing because I'm a teacher.
I hate when that happens. Like, oh, I typed too fast. Or, oh, autocorrect. I have to go back and edit that bad boy.
It was in Canva, so it wasn't so much a spelling mistake as I didn't put an S on the end of something. But I was like, I have one. I can go and delete it and start again. It's not a big deal. But I just thought that was interesting, like the exponential growth of my Instagram. And the learning that I've done from other people that I wasn't connected with on Twitter, that I don't even know that they're on Twitter, but have amazing content on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. It is so cool. It is so cool to see the learning across the platforms. And I think they are used for different purposes, but the content shared, could be a little bit different across all those different platforms. It's really neat.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else that pre-service teachers need to know about? Not anything else, because there's loads else, but
whoa, where to start?
Anything else that you're sort of passionate about sharing for pre-service teachers when it comes to social media?
I feel that sometimes pre-service teachers think that they don't have a voice in education because they don't have 5 years, 5 days, maybe even 5 hours of teaching experience, but they do have a voice. They have ideas, they have strategies, tools, and techniques that need to be shared. People need to hear them, and they want to hear them. Everyone has something of value to bring to this online professional learning network, this online community. Being a connected educator, everyone has a voice. And don't feel that because you don't have an official classroom that you're not a professional educator, because you are. You are a professional educator, and you need to own that and have that mind shift now, because it'll only help you to grow as an educator in that social media world. So if you feel that someone else wants to learn from you and have those ideas out there, whether it be something awesome you learned about in a class about a theorist or a pedagogy or a different method or a really neat way to an anticipatory set or a cool closing exit ticket idea, post it out there. Put some hashtags on it that relate to the topic, and you'll be pleasantly surprised about people who will come and like it and comment and share. I think it's so important to share what you learned, because sharing is caring, and just showing what you learned and just not being afraid to put your voice out there.
Yeah, it's a great message. And it's so true. Like those of us that have been teaching for a while, we don't know what's going on in pre-service teaching. So I want to hear about it. I want to know what's going on, what people are learning, what's different, what's new, and what's interesting. And also because those are the people that just went through school. So their voice is super important. Like I spend a lot of time in my job trying to collect student data around what it is that they're interested in learning. Pre-service teachers are like just one step outside of the classroom in that opposite direction. Like they just graduated. So for sure, what's going on for you? Like now you have this connection and you're kind of still between these two worlds.
They're outside the bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
I did it. It's like watching a TV show and they mention the name of the TV show. You're like, what?
Amazing.
Yes.
So from your experience in pre-service teaching, what are you noticing that pre-service is not preparing our educators for?
I think in the past few years, we've learned a lot about resiliency and trauma-informed teaching. And I'm not sure if that was covered so much maybe in the past 2 or 3 years, but I think we're getting better with it in higher ed. We're making more of an effort to train our teachers up to be better prepared for it. And I can't speak much more to that because I don't have much experience with that course content. I know that there's courses out there that will certify professors to teach this area to our pre-service teachers, and then at the end of their training, the pre-service teachers get a certificate of learning that they went through this workshop and this training about trauma-informed teaching. And I think that only helps higher ed to grow and to bring topics that are important for our pre-service teachers to learn about. And it also helps our pre-service teachers learn and grow and expand their professional learning as well.
Fantastic. That's definitely something that all of us need to be learning about, whether we're pre-service or not.
Exactly. Like I know I didn't get that as a pre-service teacher, and I'm learning about it through social media and through what people are posting about what best practices are. And you have to be able to push yourself as an educator to grow and to learn with the times and to keep relevant and to keep your own professionalism up.
Definitely. You have a book. You mentioned it in the beginning. Why should we all read your book, even if we're not in pre-service?
Sure. So I wrote the book as a kind of like a note to myself. If I was going back if I could go back and tell myself something, all the things that I've learned about since graduating college and what teaching is about now. So I wrote the book for past Sammy, 2001 Sammy, 2002 Sammy, back when the Backstreet Boys were cool. So I wrote it as an easy read, as a conversational piece. It starts off with, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. I have a pumpkin spice latte because I love pumpkin spice lattes at any time of the year. And it's just having a conversation about things I wish I knew before I graduated and became a teacher. What's really neat about the book is, since it's, in the title, it talks about pre-service teachers, it has stories and vignettes from pre-service teachers and how they used EduMagic throughout their college career to become educators of excellence and rock their college career so they can hit the ground running their first year teaching. Some stories talk about growth mindset, advocacy, digital presence, professional learning networks. Pre-service teachers are very honest. At the beginning when they started their professional learning network, they're really nervous, or they're like, I don't know about this, all the way to now they are co-moderating Twitter chats on a monthly basis after they've graduated 2 or 3 years out, and how a professional learning network has really changed their trajectory and learning and growing and becoming a professional. Being connected is so important because it helps you find jobs. I've had students who become connected with educators from schools that they're interested in looking at whenever they graduate. So now they have connections that they've started to build. I've had a student who had her choice of 5 job opportunities as a first-year graduate because she was a connected educator. So her story's in there. It just talks about their honest feelings when it comes to amping up a lesson and, really thinking about the coursework that you're taking, not just like going through the motions and thinking you're never going to use it again, but really thinking through pedagogy, thinking through reflection, and understanding why a teacher's teaching the way that they are or using a method that they're using, and how it's going to reach their students. So it's really about being reflective, meaningful, and authentic in your college career.
And I imagine there's a lot in there for those of us that work with pre-service teachers in our classrooms to just sort of remember what it's like.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think oftentimes, when we think back to our college career, it's hard to relate. It could be hard to relate to our pre-service teacher friends, but, thinking back, there's always that first lesson that you taught. And if it's great, that's awesome. If it's not, that's okay too. I think that's a better learning experience because you have someone to back you up in that classroom. You have that practicing teacher there that has the experience, that has the pedagogy and the knowledge to help you think through what could have gone better, what went well, because there are always good parts of a lesson. You might need to dig deeper sometimes to find them, but there's always good parts in a lesson. And then reflect upon what happened, what went well, what didn't go well, what you can do better next time. And then thinking through, I love to have my pre-service teachers teachers use technology in their lessons, because it's so important for them to get used to setting up the technology, making sure the links work, making sure the link's not blocked. What happens if it is blocked? Oh my gosh, what do? You go to plan B, you go to plan C, or there's so many other plans in the alphabet you can go to and work around. And it's so important to have those experiences in their career where they're doing awesome and, their lessons are going great. And then maybe they'll have lessons that don't go so great and they need to really reflect on that. Because I think that's where a lot of the learning happens, whenever you reflect on a lesson and think through the planning all the way down to the assessment and the independent practice.
That piece about what happens when the site is blocked, like, oh my goodness.
True story, right?
Well, and it's the school board I work for. Like, sometimes the site's not blocked on Monday, and guess what? Wednesday now it is. So
the struggle's real.
Yeah. The struggle is very real. And I don't remember how I felt the first time that happened, but I must have felt panicked the first time that happened. Now I'm just like, it's blocked. We're going to do this other thing. But I'm also, 15 years in. So it's different. It's different when it's your first, what do I do? My whole lesson was planned around this website.
Right. It is very different. Or maybe the Chromebooks aren't charged or whatever it may be. So really, like, what is your next step? What are you going to do? It's so important to have that backup plan.
And I think also to have the confidence in yourself that you're going to be okay.
Right.
Like, it's okay. Things happen. It doesn't need to go perfectly. Like, the kids will be okay if plan A and B and many ways down the alphabet are not working out. Like, tomorrow's a new day. And sometimes things really don't work out. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
So where can we get your book and where can we find out more about you?
Absolutely. So EduMagic is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. And you can find me on my website, which is www.sfecich.com. That's SFECICH.com. And then you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at sfecich. I love learning and growing from everyone, from pre-service teachers to retired educator. Everyone has a voice. So I would love to see some of your listeners, we can connect and learn more from each other about our teaching story and get some great teaching inspiration from each other.
I hope so. So I'll link all of that up in the show notes. So thanks so much for hanging out today, Sam, and having this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Well, there you have it. Thanks so much for hanging out with Sam and I today. And definitely come and hang out with us on Instagram. You can find me at Outside the Bubble Podcast. My favorite quote from Sam during this interview was spreading little breadcrumbs of awesomeness over the internet. And as many of us prepare to head back for another year of school, consider how we ourselves and our colleagues and how we can support our students in doing just that, spreading little breadcrumbs of awesomeness over the internet. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Outside the Bubble. I'll see you next time.